Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the First Jedi podcast. This is episode 3, and today we're going to be talking primarily about the Force Friday leaks. We're going to do a complete checklist. I have a guest from YouTube. His name is Aaron from the Toy Shelf Review, and we're going to basically go over everything that's happened in Star Wars for the last 10 days. We'll talk a little bit about the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie coming out. We'll be doing possibly a figure review, and we'll be not probably talking to Paul this episode. He's busy doing his RDRs, and so I have a special guest with me, Aaron, to fill in for him, and he'll probably be possibly one of our frequent guests or co-hosts, I'm hoping. And so go ahead and introduce yourself, Aaron.
Hello there. My name's Aaron. Primarily been doing YouTube reviews. My channel is called Toy Shelf Review, and I'm just reviewing toys that I have in my collection. I've been collecting toys since they came out in '95, the modern wave of Star Wars figures, I suppose, and just getting what I can, basically.
So you do pretty much only Star Wars stuff?
I do occasional Transformer reviews. I also collect Transformer toys as well when they were doing the Generation 1 reissues, and then also I get the Masterpiece line when I can.
Yeah, those are nice.
But
the Masterpiece line's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, I love the Masterpiece line. It's they make great robot-looking figures, as you saw in the show, and still manage to get it to transform into something very close to what you saw in the cartoon as well. For me, I'd like to do more Transformer reviews. It takes more time for me to shoot and edit, and at least lately this summer it's been pretty busy, so it's pretty easy to sit down with a 3 3/4 inch or a 6-inch figure and go through that.
Is that your preferred scale for the Star Wars figures?
I think my preferred would be the 3 3/4 inch. I mean, that's what I had as a kid. That's where all the fun memories are of playing with those figures, playing with your friends. And I do like the 6-inch figures. They look great. I think they've done good things with it. But I think the heart is always going to be a 3 3/4 inch.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure you're excited about the new vintage collection coming back too then.
I am. That was a really good line of figures, and even I think beyond vintage collection, even to original trilogy collection line, through 30th anniversary collection, it was really a good time frame of figures that were coming out. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the cards come back and, kind of that added articulation coming as well.
Yeah, actually the 6-inch figures are what brought me back to Star Wars collecting, because they were super articulated. They were more detailed because they're larger and a little bit more accurate, something that they can't do really with a smaller scale. It's too hard to get all that detail in there. But with the announcement of the vintage collection coming back, and since I didn't collect between 2003 and 2015, that's a big gap. And that was pretty much the entire super articulated zone right there, and I pretty much missed the whole thing. So that's a pretty big gap to be away from. Yeah, when I first saw those 6-inch figures though, with 20 plus points of articulation, it's like, wow, those are pretty cool looking. And for people around me, like women, stuff like that, when they see you collecting stuff, they seem a little bit more accepting of the 6-inch scale, because they look kind of like high-end collectibles or whatever. But when they see the smaller scale, you got to have the right kind of woman for that, because then they just look like toys. And but What was your first exposure to Star Wars? You said you started collecting with Power of the Force 2?
Yeah, that was where I first started being a collector of it. My first exposure, I don't remember a time when there wasn't Star Wars for me. I was born in 75, so really I was a little too young to know about Star Wars when it came out in the theater initially. But as far back as I can remember, I liked Star Wars. I have vague memories. Maybe I saw Empire at a drive-in. I feel like I recall seeing it on this big screen. Mm-hmm. But I was just always playing with the toys with my friends, and most of my friends had more toys than me. They had all the great play sets and figures and stuff, and I actually, as a child, only had probably maybe a dozen figures or something, and then I had the battle-damaged X-Wing TIE Fighter. I did have the Snow Speeder, and eventually got the speeder bike, when Jedi came out, but that was kind of what I had as a child. And, something about when the line came out in 95, when I heard about it, just instantly I was like, yes, this is it. I'm going to collect this. And it wasn't about, value or anything. It was just something that I wanted. I wanted to have a room that had figures. I certainly didn't expect it to go on now for we're 22 years in, and it doesn't look like there's going to be an end to it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep riding the wave as long as I can, and it's been good.
Yeah, when I actually started with the original collection like you did, but I'm actually like a year older, and I was close to almost 3 years old, I guess, when Star Wars hit theaters, and my grandpa took me to see it. I guess on opening day, I'm not really sure, but I just say that I've seen all of them on opening day because all the rest of them I did, including the special editions. And I know for a fact that I saw it in October of '77 because my parents took me on their anniversary. They talk about that. My dad's a Star Wars fan, and they also saw it for Christmas because especially the first movie had a very long life in the box office. And
yes.
Then even after it was gone, it kept coming back. Like right before Empire came out, it came back again to get people more interested in Empire. And Empire was also re-released several times, also right before Return of the Jedi. So you probably did see Empire in the theater or at a drive-in, even if it was like close to 1983. So you probably did see that. Did you see Return of the Jedi in the theater?
I did not.
No.
It's I really, really wanted to, but actually the thing is my dad was very against me going to movies and stuff. I kind of grew up in a Christian household.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And went to Christian school for many years, and so it was, no, movies are bad, and even as badly as I wanted to see it, that didn't happen. So, I don't remember when I even saw Jedi. It's just I probably saw it on TV eventually, or obviously I had to have. But yeah, I don't have that first memory really of any of the movies. Just kind of always feel like I've always seen it now. So
yeah, my first episode I actually talked about that a little bit, where my mom, she wouldn't let me watch anything with violence, not even cartoons like Tom and Jerry, Roadrunner, and stuff like that, because if you think about it, those with all the violent things that they do to each other, I mean, that's some pretty extreme violence compared to, I mean, if you were to do that in real life and to subject little kids to that, it's,
right.
Yeah, my mom was not somebody who let me watch anything with violence in it except for Star Wars, because Star Wars, for the most part, it's not it's not like blood and gore. So
right.
It's you got Walrus Man's arm cut off in the cantina scene. They seem to have a theme of cutting people's hands off, but but other than that,
it was weird what I was allowed to watch and not watch, and I don't really understand yet what made things so different, but yeah.
Yeah, the Hercules and Xena TV show, I used to record that. I was kind of like collecting it. You know, I recorded every episode, so I had the entire series on VHS, you know, when that came out.
Okay.
And when I got bored and there was nothing on TV on the weekends, when during school or whatever, then I'd pop in one of my old episodes of Hercules, and my mom's like, "Why are you watching that again? That's too violent." And I said, "But I watch all the new episodes." And she goes, "But you don't need to watch the same thing over and over again." And yeah, especially Xena. Xena was a little bit darker than Hercules. Hercules pretty much didn't have any blood or anything. But Xena was a little bit darker storyline. But
I did not get into those shows. I think a lot of the TV on, because I think I was in high school at that time, right? Wasn't that 90s or so?
94, actually.
Okay, so out of high school. But definitely have always worked second shift. So anything that came on TV, like I had to already be interested in it and know about it and hit record on the VCR and stuff like that.
Well, the air dates on Hercules and Xena were mostly, it was a syndicated show, like Star Trek The Next Generation. It didn't have any particular, there wasn't any network backing. The Universal Studios was the people who produced it or distributed it. So it had a huge distributor. It was actually the #1 TV show in the world, the entire run. It even beat out Baywatch. And, but as far as, Hercules and Xena was mainly on at like 11 o'clock at night, and they do them back to back, one episode of Hercules and one episode of Xena, and some TV stations would have it on in the middle of the afternoon. So, but almost all the stations had it on like a late night, like on Saturday nights at 11:30, and then they'd rerun it again on the next day on Sunday. But that was actually how I got into it, because, when I first moved out, I didn't have to go to bed at any certain time. So it was like 11:30. I had a little black and white TV, and I just started. I was like, what is this? This is cool, because I was always into that fantasy type stuff, and Star Wars is kind of the same. A little bit. It's a different kind of fantasy, but it's still a fantasy movie.
Right.
So, do you remember what your very first Star Wars figure was?
I don't remember. The early ones that I had to play with was I have a Darth Vader, Bespin Luke. I've got an X-Wing Luke. Those are some of the early figures that I remember having. Yeah.
I think my first figure was C-3PO. He was definitely the loosest as far as joints.
I do have an R2-D2 where he's now very worn down with that sticker that wraps around. And then I've got the C-3PO that you can take apart.
Right.
And, his joints just flop all over the place. He's gotten lots of playing time with that.
I didn't get that one right away because my mom wouldn't let me buy it because it's basically the same figure. They wouldn't let me buy duplicates. So my little brother had the C-3PO that came apart, the R2-D2 with the sensor scope. I just had the originals mostly. And then I had to kind of sneak a way to figure out to buy the other ones later on, like with birthday money or something.
Yeah, they don't understand. You need an army of these things.
Yeah.
There's more than one stormtrooper in the movie. You got to have a lot of them.
So, which of the Star Wars movies are your? What is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, that's asking who your favorite child is.
I only have one, so that's an easy answer.
I got two, so that's, it's a toss between Jedi, Rogue One, and Episode 3. I really loved Rogue One. I thought they did an excellent job with that movie. And to me, it made Episode 4 that much better of a movie as well. It just kind of raised those stakes a little bit. And then to roll right into that after the crawl of Vader boarding the ship, it's just get a little more feeling going into it. And I think that's something that they did well with that movie, is connecting the two together so much. But yeah, it's. I don't think I can narrow it down to one, but sometimes Episode 3, prior to Rogue One, Episode 3 was probably, some days might be top of the list, some days it would have been Jedi, and then Rogue One came along, and it's a tough call between the three.
Growing up in the original trilogy era, I prefer the original trilogy, but I'm a fan of everything Star Wars. It doesn't matter if it's Force Awakens, Rogue One, Rebels. I like pretty much all of it. And I don't remember the Ewoks and Droids cartoons very well, but pretty much everything else I remember, and I'm just a Star Wars fan, completely. It doesn't make any difference really. My least favorite episode, though, at the movies would have to be Phantom Menace. But if I were to rank them in order, like in the actual movies, I'd definitely go with Star Wars, A New Hope, the first one. It's my top. And then Empire and Jedi are pretty much a tie for second, because there's different elements to those, and I like them both. And then I would probably go with Revenge of the Sith, and then Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and then Force Awakens and Rogue One, and then finally The Phantom Menace. But The Phantom Menace, it just, at the time, I don't know, it was just so different. It was so different compared to what we saw in the 70s and 80s, with all those digital effects, so much digital stuff. It kind of, to some extent, it might took away from it a little bit, but and I don't know, it was different.
Yeah, for me, I like the prequels as well. I like it all. I recall watching the cartoons. I have them on DVD now, but I probably haven't seen them since I was a kid. I haven't popped a disc in yet or anything. I enjoyed the prequels, but I would say, for me, Phantom Menace is probably my least favorite. Mm-hmm. But it's not to say that I don't like it.
You have DVDs of Droids and Ewoks? Or are you talking about Rebels and Clone Wars?
No, if I recall correctly, they released DVD versions of the Droids and Ewoks cartoons.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they released everything. But yeah. I remember seeing them when I was a kid, and I've actually seen them rerun not too long ago, I think, on Boom or, I don't know, some cable channel. But do you also watch the Freemaker, the Lego Star Wars and stuff like that?
I have seen some of them. Not everything, but I've seen a couple episodes here and there.
I haven't seen all of them. There's a couple episodes I haven't seen. They're not exactly top priority for me, but yeah, I'm going to get around to them eventually. So once you started collecting in 1995, was there ever like a lull? Did you ever stop and come back later?
Only when I can't find it in the stores. No stopping.
Wow.
It's been constant toy runs. I don't go every day now. It used to be hardcore. I'd wake up and go toy shopping right away to 5-6 stores and then come home. as time went on, I got older, got married, and had kids. The toy running every day got harder to do because now you have a baby, and it's like, man, and plus, you know, with it being hard to find things on the shelves, it's like, okay, am I going to really put the baby in the car seat in the car, and carry that car seat around to all these stores just to come home empty-handed? Nope, I'll just go on my way to work or something. So, but no, there's been no stopping.
You're talking about the distribution lately. Basically. Yeah. As a retailer, I could tell you guys a little bit about this Force Friday. As of right now, from what I've seen that's actually shipped out to the stores, the 6-inch Black Series, a lot of people have been asking, well, where is it? You know, where are the leaks? Nobody's seen or heard anything about it. But in the last few days, they have been shipped, and the majority of the big box stores got the majority of their shipments on the 15th. The e-tailers, like on eBay and stuff like that, they're getting stuff. They've been getting it around the 17th. My stores got shipping notices already for those. And the distributors that I've been talking to, they said that as of right now, they've shipped about maybe about 25% more than what they did in Force Friday 1, which was The Force Awakens in 2015. And if they keep doing what they say they're going to do and keep these coming out as fast as they're supposed to be, it should be pretty equivalent to Rogue One. But as of right now, the stock that the stores have is very low, and especially for the 6-inch line. And the 6-inch line, Wave 12 and Wave 13 will both hit on September 1st, but Wave 13 is shipping dramatically lower than Wave 12, like maybe a third to half as many as Wave 12. And so that one will be hard to find. And the figures in Wave 13 are going to be like Poe Dameron, the General Princess Leia. Kylo Ren is the only carryover from Wave 12 to Wave 13, the new Kylo Ren with the scar. And then you got the Praetorian Guard. I think Snoke is supposed to be in there. They're still shipping them with code names. So until you actually open the box, you don't really know. But, so Poe Dameron, the Praetorian Guard, Snoke, and there's somebody else, General Leia. Those are going to be the hardest ones to get, most likely, unless they really catch up or some stores ordered less of Wave 12 and more of Wave 13. But normally big box stores start with the first assortment, and a lot of times you don't see the second assortment so much.
So that's a good list to look forward to.
At the 3 3/4 scale, there's a assortment 3 that has Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 4. These are the Force Link figures, the basic assortment, and Yoda, based on his Empire Strikes Back appearance, but he will have a lightsaber, and those have not shipped yet. I've heard one person say that they just started, but from the people that I know in the retail community, they have not shipped yet, and they might not be out on September 1st, because technically what I heard, they don't have a release date. So the first 2 waves, though, with like all the regular Force Link figures, there's a lot of them. General Hux, First Order Stormtrooper, Paige, Rose, Rey in her Jedi training, Jedi Master Luke, C-3PO, Chewbacca with a Porg. There's I have a list somewhere, but there's a lot of them. And those, Wave 1 and Wave 2 should be, or Assortment 1 and 2 should be out, or will definitely be out for Force Friday, probably in force, and tons of them. The only other thing that I know of that hasn't shipped yet is the Force Link Reader. Only in the $199 playset, the BB-8, It's almost like a life-size BB-8 case that folds out into a Super Star Destroyer that comes with a Snoke figure and some other guy. I think a Praetorian Guard.
I think it is the Guard.
Yeah, and those are 5 POAs too, but they all have Force Link capabilities. They have a little thing on their foot. I guess you scan that, or you get close enough to it, it reads it. Not really 100% sure, because they come in instructions, but since no one has a Force Link reader yet, it's kind of hard to say. I think the chip, though, is actually in their foot.
It is, yeah. Yep, it's embedded in the foot.
Some people were hoping that it was like the app where you just scan the little code, like in the Rogue One assortment. You just scan the code, and it just, saves it. But that may not be the case. I think you actually have to have the figure. So...
yeah, it seems like it's going to be very much like the Comtech chip that the Episode 1 toys had.
Right.
But that, I think you had to lay it on the reader, and I don't know if how that's going to work with these figures. I don't know if you have to set the figures on the reader, or, like you mentioned, if you just have to be in a proximity to it.
Right. Yeah.
But that BB-8 set, that's the one that I'm most looking forward to myself.
That's
pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, a lot of people have been really, really wanting play sets. They've been begging for those for years from Hasbro, and they're finally giving us one, but it's going to be expensive. That's for sure. And I'm not sure I'm going to pick that up, because I don't know if I don't have the kind of space for that. But
I don't either, but it'll work itself out.
Wow. I was going to get the TIE Striker actually last year. I thought I would get the TIE Striker and the U-Wing fighter and just like hang them from the ceiling or something. But I never actually did that. I was thinking about it, but I never. The vehicles, I have very few vehicles. As far as the modern day stuff, the stuff I had as a kid was put up in the attic at, back at my parents' house. So as far as my collection and the vehicles, they're pretty much non-existent. I got a Poe Dameron X-Wing fighter in my room, but it's in a drawer put away because, the people in my family, they're not so much collectors. They kind of like Star Wars. They kind of don't. Significant other, she's not into it really, but the daughter is. But
yeah, my daughter has kind of wants her own collection,
right.
I mean, for my kids, obviously they've grown up just seeing this, and it was really funny because my daughter was probably around 6 years old at the time, and at that point, I mean, obviously they've been in and out of my room, and I got to say, they've been fantastic kids in that regard. Like, there's been no, that as I was building my collection, my parents and family would always joke, one day when you have kids, they're going to come in and open it all up. And I've had no dealings of that at all. And but one day she just walks into the room, and she's looking at the walls because I've got, I buy the figures for keeping in package, and then I also buy a set to take out of the packaging. And she's looking at them all just hanging on the wall, and she just says, "So these are all toys?" I said, "Yes." "And you keep them in the packaging?" I says, "Yes." And there was this long pause, and she just says, "What a waste."
Yeah, that's what my mom sounded like when I started collecting.
She just was like, "Hey, you got all these toys and don't play with them." But now as time has gone on, she just would slowly say, like, "I want to have a collection too." And she got into the Funko Pops and has a little shelf with a handful of those on. And then, the Forces of Destiny toys came along. And she was with us at Celebration when, they had them on display on the shelves. And boy, those just caught her eye. And so as we were doing the toy reviews, since for the 12-inch scale line, like, I only have a handful of those that I opened. The rest are in the packaging still. And kind of the same thing with these. If it wasn't for my review channel, I actually probably would not have bought openers on those either, just to save some space. And just decided to go ahead and let her have the openers. And she made a little shelf on her desk, and she's got them all set up there where she has her own little collection now.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be when I went from like, once I hit about 12 or 13, I put all my stuff up in the attic. And then I wanted to buy a car. I actually said this on the last episode, but I wanted to buy a car as soon as I could. So I thought about selling like all my toys and stuff. And then when people came up and said, well, I'll give you like a dime for C-3PO or whatever, I was like, no way. I was like, I like this stuff way too much to be selling it for anything less than what was paid for it. And so I kept everything, and like I said, it's all up in the attic, and I pretty much had the entire collection of the original figures and vehicles, everything. Anything made by Kenner.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And so I held on to it, and I'm never getting rid of it. I don't know what to do with it, though. When I pass away, I guess it'll go to somebody.
Yeah. For the original line, I've only gone back and grabbed a handful of figures.
What I did actually in '95, when the Power of the Force 2 came back out, I actually started recollecting, because at that time they weren't too expensive. You could still get a lot of the common figures on the original vintage figures for like $10. And so I started trying to collect mint condition, original vintage figures. And so I put those again. Those are just all like vaulted up. I got the whole collection pretty much like that as well, all mint condition on card. And those are all put away in a storage unit too. So,
nice.
Yeah. For the Power of the Force 2, though, yeah, I was still in contact with my mom. I moved out around the same time, and they were just kind of iffy about it. They're like, why are you collecting this stuff? And my dad likes Star Wars, so he's like, oh, he likes Star Wars. So
Dad understands.
All right. Okay, I was starting to think I was not recording there for a minute. My phone went dead for a second. Okay, anyway, but so once we get past all of these new movies, hopefully the collection will just keep on going. I wonder how many Disney movies they're going to just keep on putting out.
I have a feeling it's just going to keep going. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I don't know if we get past episode 9, and I forget if there's already another standalone after that. Like how that every other one lines up, or if that's, maybe that's where the Obi-Wan movie we're hearing about might slide out. But I expect that the episodic movies are even going to continue as well. It just wouldn't surprise me.
Which are you more excited about, the episodic or the standalones?
Same level. I look forward to each one equally, I suppose.
Right. Since they announced Obi-Wan this week, officially, basically, they didn't say anybody was actually attached to it except for a specific director. And but Ewan McGregor, the last couple of months, been talking about it a lot, saying he definitely wants to do it. And a lot of fans say if he's not going to do it, then why do it? Then why?
Actually, I would agree on that. I think he's going to do it. I've heard some interviews of him too, where it seemed like,
kind of seemed like,
you know, obviously he didn't come out and say that, yes, I've been in talks, but I feel like he was kind of
not allowed to say.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're at that point in a conversation, like if they're not talking to you, you're just going to say they're not talking to you. And I have a feeling that it's going to get announced that he's attached to it pretty soon. I don't know how you could do an Obi-Wan movie and not have Ewan McGregor.
Right. It's going to have to be directly after Revenge of the Sith, I guess, because Rebels kind of takes up right before Episode 4, A New Hope, and they already had Obi-Wan Kenobi on Rebels, and he was like, you know, old man.
Yep.
So the funny part is, if you go by age, technically, okay, Ewan McGregor was like around. Okay, there's kind of a circle or a kind of a pattern. Like in Episode 1, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi character, I believe, was supposed to be 19. Like Luke is supposed to be 19 in Episode 4. So Episode 2, he would be 29. And Episode 3 is supposed to be right after Episode 2. So he'd be like, 30 or something. And he's already...
Well, I think the timeline of Episode 2 and 3 was what they called the real life timeline. So it was, I always understood it to be 3 years between Episode 2 and Episode 3.
So he would have been 32.
Yeah.
And so by time Star Wars comes out, because the baby's born in Revenge of the Sith, so 19 years later he would be 51.
Yeah. Living on the desert can be very rough to a person.
Gray hair, white hair, whatever, real fast.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about Rebels was I didn't so much like it, but they kept bringing Darth Maul back, even though he was dead in Episode 1.
See, I get that, but I really liked Darth Maul, and
they shouldn't have chopped him in half in the first place.
Well, that I agree with. They shouldn't have chopped him in half. I would have liked to have for him to have been the main villain even through the trilogy. Let his death get you to Darth Vader.
Right. I didn't like Count Dooku at all. A lot of people don't like Count Dooku. Like Paul, he was saying Episode 2 is the hardest one for him. I couldn't stand Count Dooku. He's like the primary thing I hate about that movie. Count Dooku and the Geonosians, those little bug guys, I didn't like either of those. Everything else I liked, but those two people, when Count Dooku, the opening scene in Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin defeats what's his name, Count Dooku, I was like, yes.
Well, and I don't even understand what they were trying to go for, and maybe they didn't understand either, but the Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah.
Count Dooku, but nothing was really ever explained, and really, I think, you heard him referenced when Obi-Wan was confronting, I think it was when he was confronting Jango Fett.
Right. About
the clones, and he says, I was, a man named Tyrannus. I think that's what he said. But then you didn't hear his name again until Sidious caught up with Count Dooku, on Coruscant, and the toys had him labeled as Count Dooku on some, and Darth Tyrannus as the others, and none of that was really explained. With Darth, why are you referred to that the whole time now? So.
Now that I think about his actual character and the storyline, it does make a little bit of sense and kind of a little bit interesting, because he was a former Jedi. He was trained by Yoda, I think, or something like that. And his Jedi name was Count Dooku, but I guess, and Darth Tyrannus is after he left the Jedi Order, but nobody knew him as a Darth Tyrannus because episode 1 and 2 they didn't even know the Sith were coming back. So
okay.
Yeah, but I guess it makes it a little bit more interesting when Yoda starts fighting Count Dooku because they used to be Jedis, and they knew each other. But yeah, for the most part, I didn't like that character. But as far as Obi-Wan goes, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do in the timeline, but hopefully it's something good without messing everything up.
I will say that's where I'm a little disappointed that they already had the wrap-up of Darth Maul in Rebels. That was the hope that I held on to. When they brought Darth Maul back, I was like, my dream, I'm like, man, if there's an Obi-Wan movie, that would be pretty neat to have those two meet up on the desert and, get another fight. But unfortunately, they wrapped that character up already in Rebels, so not much can be done there with Darth Maul,
One person that they could bring back for a friend of Obi-Wan, or since it's the same timeline, would be, Ahsoka left before that, actually, before Revenge of the Sith. But Ahsoka could be a possible character in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That'd be the first time in a real film, too.
I wonder if we would, this is getting a lot of speculation here, but I wonder, too, there must be a chance for maybe Qui-Gon?
Yeah,
maybe get Liam Neeson come in as Force Ghost, because certainly Obi-Wan is going through that training to be able to learn to communicate with the Force Ghosts and such, and then how to transform himself, too, one day when he dies. So that would be pretty neat, too.
Yep, that would be nice. I'd definitely like Liam Neeson's character. That was probably the best part of episode 1 for me, was the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan together.
Yes, I pretty much like the Qui-Gon character.
Yeah, he's still one of my favorites, even though he's in the wrong movie. So, what about the Han Solo movie? What do you think about that one? Definitely looking forward to that one.
Interesting that we had the director switch. I try to reserve judgment on all the movies until it comes out, because the same goes for each movie. Everything always goes through, rewrites. There's always reshoots and pickup shots and stuff. This one, maybe it's going to be a big overhaul of what was originally going to come along, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm glad Donald Glover is Lando Calrissian. Definitely looking forward to that one.
Well, that actually reminds me of something. At least with Ron Howard directing it, it should be, if not, it could be even better than what they originally had planned.
Absolutely.
With the directors, because he's also a close friend of George Lucas. He has a relationship with Lucasfilm for a long time. So I think that's an excellent choice as a director, and he might actually be able to make the movie fly. So the only person I didn't really, Han Solo himself, that's going to be the hardest one to do. The actual young Han Solo, the actor who plays him. I just hope he's convincing and that he's a great actor, because that's my primary concern right there.
Yeah, that's either going to make or break the movie for a lot of people, is how well he can pull off a Han Solo portrayal on film.
Right. Okay, well, so in the last 10 days, other than the Obi-Wan reveal, it's basically all been the Hasbro reveals. Like I was talking about with the 6-inch figures. And so for those of you who don't know what stuff is actually coming out, I pretty much have a checklist here of the majority of the stuff, if not everything. And so I'm going to go ahead and read these off, and then we'll ask Aaron and see which ones he's the most excited about maybe picking up on Force Friday. So as far as these 6-inch Black Series figures, you got two different assortments coming out. A Darth Vader from Rogue One, the one from the little Legacy pack with the stand, the 40th anniversary version. That Darth Vader will be packing 2 per case in Wave 12, and the other figures in that assortment will be Rey and her Jedi training, the same one they had at San Diego Comic-Con, and same with the Luke Skywalker. They'll be individually packed now, and Kylo Ren with the scar, Admiral Thrawn, also from San Diego Comic-Con, but without all the accessories, only a blaster. And then we'll have, it's kind of surprising, an Episode 4 Stormtrooper. The same, we haven't seen any pictures of this, but from what I understand, it's basically just a re-release of the 2013 Black Series Stormtrooper, also the 40th anniversary Stormtrooper that was released earlier this year. And of course, Hera. So there's only actually 3 Last Jedi figures in the first assortment. The majority of them are actually from the original trilogy, and then you have 2 Rebels characters, Thrawn and Hera. So, and then Wave 13, we got Poe Dameron, and then a repack of the same Kylo Ren that's in Wave 12. We have Alpha 1 Guard, which is we're not exactly sure who that is. And nobody seems to know the code for that. There's General Leia, a repack of AT-AT Driver, and the Episode 5 Snowtrooper from Empire Strikes Back. Those are just repacks from Wave 9 from last year. Then we have Victor 1, Alpha 1. I guess that is supposed to be Snoke. And then we have Victor Guard, which is the Praetorian Guard, but we don't know which one because there's several different versions of them. There's a 4-pack coming from GameStop, which is an exclusive. It should have 4 different versions of the 6-inch Black Series Guard, and with different heads and weapons. And we also have a GameStop exclusive Snoke with Throne coming out. For e-tailers, people besides Amazon and Toys R Us, there will be shipments of Luke Jedi, the same 6-inch Luke Jedi, Rey, Kylo Ren, and Thrawn in solid packs, meaning 8 per case, just solid cases of those. So those 4 figures could potentially be the easiest ones to find. The majority of those have already shipped already. The Luke with the land speeder from the Black Series, a lot like the Comic-Con version from San Diego, but there's no moving parts on the land speeder like there is on the San Diego Comic-Con version, but he pretty much comes with all the same stuff, the blaster, the hat, the little cloak thing that he wears, and a lightsaber. And it's pretty much more or less the same thing. Those are $59.99. Those have actually already been spotted. A couple days ago, they were on Kohl's.com. They're already there to order. You can buy them right now. Same with the Rey with Speeder from the Black Series, 6-inch. Those come as solid cases as well. They don't come in an assortment. There's a Rey Stormtrooper. I really don't even know what this is, but there's like a special galactic assortment. I'm not sure if any retailers are going to pick this up, but it's supposed to be Rey, Stormtrooper, and I guess Luke Skywalker. It's just a different version, just a different case pack of the 6-inch Black Series. Then we got the 3 3/4 inch figures that I just already talked about a minute ago. There's something like 16 different figures in 3 different waves, including Yoda and Obi-Wan, and Leia Hoth will also be in that assortment. The thing that we saw at San Diego Comic-Con with the Wampa and the Luke Skywalker, the 5 POA Hoth Luke Skywalker with the super articulated Wampa, I haven't seen anything about that. I think that's going to be in Wave 2 in the Beast Pack assortment, because the first Beast Pack assortment coming out on Force Friday will be the Rathtar, who's going to be packing 3 per case, with the 4th figure in there is going to be Darth Vader with the probe droid. So initially, Darth Vader he's going to be the hard one to find in that assortment. And then he's supposed to be packing 2 and 2, I think, with the Hoth Wampa and Hoth Luke Skywalker in Wave 2. So then we have the vehicle assortment coming out. There's 3 vehicles in each case. 2 of them are A-Wings. The other one is the Neon Speeder. I guess that is supposed to be Poe Dameron's vehicle. And for the other one that comes with like the police-looking trooper, I don't know anything about that. I guess that's shipping by itself, or maybe there's a second assortment. So the deluxe 2-packs, the 2-packs that are just 2 figures with like a really huge kind of weapon, a spring-loaded backpack or whatever. People have seen images of this before. It's the same Rey figure, for what we know, as the regular 3.75 Force Link Gray. They'll both have the Force Link capability, and she's going to come with the Praetorian Guard and a huge missile launching backpack thing. And the other 2-pack in that assortment is the Boba Fett and Han Solo that they've been showing off at the conventions. And so the other one, Tristan, or whatever, I forget his name, and that Tristan 2-pack, the Rogue One, those will be shipping as solid cases by themselves, because they're not part of The Last Jedi. They're in Rogue One packaging. And then we got, that's pretty much it as far as like the action figure line goes. You got the 12-inch figures, and there's going to be Rey, obviously, in the Praetorian Guard. And then you got Jack Pacific and all that other stuff, the big figs. And but as far as Hasbro goes, that's pretty much it. But I can tell you that Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren, and Rey should be pretty easy to find in the basic assortment because they pack 3 per case. So that's a good thing. The most popular figures are 3 per case, just like Yoda. And Obi-Wan's only 2 per case, but that's pretty much it as far as Hasbro goes for everything that's going to be released on September 1st. And so what type of things are you going to be looking for on Force Friday, Aaron?
All of it.
Oh yeah, and the big what do you call it? The big BB-8 base thing.
Yes, that's the one that.
Oh, Kylo Ren in his ship too. I forgot about that one. That one's going to retail. Yeah. Some places I've already seen the ads. They're going to have that on sale for $39.99. I think Target and Walmart. But I think the regular retail on that is going to be $49.99. But
yeah, it'll be nice. I'm looking forward though to getting my hands on a Jedi Luke. I think the first also is when the San Diego exclusives go online.
Yeah.
So that's kind of going to be a toss-up for me because I need not so much a toss-up. I'm going to be going shopping at midnight, obviously. So I don't expect that the exclusives will be online by then, but I definitely want to get the exclusives or try to get the vehicles, the speeder bike, Ray's speeder, or not speeder bike, sorry, Luke's speeder, and then Ray's speeder, and like to get my hands on Grand Animal Thrawn as well through the convention exclusive part. But yeah, definitely want to get my hands on the place. That's going to be the first thing I look forward to grabbing on the shelf. And my wife's going to join me. She's been joining me the last few midnight openings, and we just kind of divide up a little bit. I just tell her, I was like, look, you don't have to worry about grabbing anything that I have already if you're getting it in this, particular packaging. I said, if it's a figure and it's, like last year, and it's Rogue One, I said, I need it. You can just grab it. So we'll probably do the same thing this year.
All right. So as I should be moving probably in the next couple of months. So I don't know how much stuff I'm going to pick up, but I'll probably we've already sold out of the 3 3/4 figures, but I definitely want to pick up probably the 6-inch assortment and the A-Wing. That was the primary one that I want. Out of all this new stuff that I've seen, the A-Wing, are you going to pick up one of those Force Link things for the readers?
Yeah, if they have it out on launch day, I'll definitely pick one up, and then from there, I get one because I want one in the packaging, and it'll depend if I pick up a second, because I've heard maybe the BB-8 playset comes with one, or
I think there's two
maybe
different
that's
versions.
Exclusive? I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's two different versions. I think there's a Toys R Us exclusive that's going to be $199 that has one with it, and then there's going to be maybe another one for $179.99 that doesn't. I'm not really sure. I've only seen one. The only one that I've seen is the $199 version for order, and it does come with one. So
okay. So yeah,
the one that comes by itself.
I'll definitely be getting the playset to open up as well. So I'll end up with an opener for that.
The one that does come by itself, though, comes with an exclusive Kylo Ren figure.
Oh no! I might end up
helmeted version.
Opened up then.
It's basically the same figure as the. Well, I don't know. I don't have a picture of it with me right now. Or actually, I do. Or maybe I do. But it's pretty close to the same figure as in the Force Link. The regular version, but he has a helmet instead of unmasked. So
see, you still got to get it. 3
different versions of Kylo Ren coming out in the 3 3/4 assortment. The one with the Starfighter that he's driving, that's exclusive to the Starfighter. And then you got the regular one in the regular assortment, and then you got the one that comes with the Force Link, and they're all different. So they also will probably have different messages, I guess, when you scan them. There's a possibility of that too.
Absolutely.
And then you got.
You gotta wonder, are we gonna get a Force Awakens Kylo Ren with a scar where they move it over ever so slightly?
Oh wow! What was the other thing I was about to say? There's also a. Gosh, I can't remember now. There's one other thing that's coming out. So in 3 3/4, there also should be, hopefully on September 1st, the Walmart exclusive Black Series figures also. And those are supposed to be Rey and Jedi training, Jedi Master Luke, and I don't really remember the other two. I think Kylo Ren. I don't deal with exclusives that much because it's not part of my business, because that's Walmart's business. And there's also a Target exclusive 6-inch version of the Jedi Master Luke with the little stand or whatever, the environment stand, like the Jyn Erso.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And
I heard they picked up the exclusive on those over Kmart this time around.
Yeah. And I think he comes with an extra hand, too. I'm not sure. He comes with one extra thing, I think. It's not a lightsaber, but the San Diego Comic-Con, or both of the 6-inch Lukes, even the 3 3/4-inch regular Luke, have a little thing on the side of his belt where you can attach a lightsaber. So a lot of people are like, why didn't he come with his lightsaber? But he does have a slot to hold a lightsaber if you can find one that'll actually fit on there. So maybe in a future release there will be one. So probably, most likely. And so nobody...
well, they certainly did that with Rey.
Yeah. There's some kind of spoiler thing. They don't want I guess they don't want people to think that Luke's going to use his lightsaber or something to do with the story and the plot line. Maybe as a new lightsaber, I don't know, but there's something about that. Disney doesn't want Luke to have a lightsaber in September. So, but yeah, that one, and I think the Praetorian Guard and the Walmart exclusive, I think, is the third figure, and the fourth one, maybe Kylo Ren, I think. I don't know. I can't remember what the fourth one was. I normally get information on those from RobotKingdom.com because they normally get them first, and because they're exclusive in Walmart in America, but they also distribute them outside of America. And because they have a release date, like Force Friday release date, they're not allowed to promote those before Force Friday, so we probably won't know until Force Friday exactly what all is coming out for that. But that should be the final wave for Walmart exclusives. And then after that, 2018 in February, that's when the new vintage collection comes back. And all super articulated action figures will be the Force Awakens figures. The first assortment is going to be the Rey, Kylo Ren, First Order Stormtrooper, Hoth Rebel Soldier, a Fan Choice Award winner, Dr. Aphra, and possibly the Master Luke, Jedi Master Luke from Force Awakens. And then Wave 2 is going to be Jenna Erso, who's the other one? Cassian Andor, the AT driver, hover tank pilot, and basically the Death Trooper. They're basically re-releasing all the Walmart exclusives from Force Awakens and Rogue One back on TVC cards. And then the surprises for Wave 2, nobody really knows what those are going to be. Although the last time I talked to, let's just say I heard a little birdie tell me that as far as the 6-inch line goes, a lot of people have been requesting some more prequel trilogy characters. And from what I understand, these characters are not simply what Hasbro calls in the ballpark, meaning that there's a possibility they're going to make them soon, but more towards the short list, which could possibly mean it could be any time in the next 6 to 18 months, technically, but possibly by the end of the year. But I'm thinking in 2018 as a definite, there will be a Mace Windu 6-inch Black Series figure and Padme from probably, they haven't really said which one it's going to be, episode 1, episode 2, or whatever. But from what my sources have told me, those two figures are currently being sculpted as we speak, or possibly they'll be distributed sometime between now and December of 2018. So
cool.
Yeah, that's something I haven't told hardly anybody. I haven't even told Paul that yet. But yeah, so he's gonna be mad. No. Yeah, but those two figures, I have a feeling it's going to be the Geonosis Padme, the one they did in the 3 3/4 Black Series, #1. But there was also talk of her being a Episode 1 figure, like in the where she's talking to Boss Nass, basically like the very first Queen Amidala figure we got in 1999, where she's got the little bun, the little bow type hairdo, and kind of a dress type thing. Not the big hair Queen Amidala, but the one where she's talking to Boss Nass. She's got a little blaster, and she's got her decoys all around her. And so it could be that one, or it could be, I think the easiest one they could make would probably be the Geonosis, the white. Yeah, that's more iconic. I don't know.
And I agree. That's if I had to guess. My first guess would be that they would go for that Episode 2 with the white outfit.
Right.
And especially if they have the figure, that means they probably have the digital files for it still. You know, they just upscale it to the larger figure.
Would you want that to come with a soft goods cloak or just plastic? Since they could mold it and make it look like it's flowing.
In her case, I think I would prefer a plastic one.
That's what I was thinking too.
But I would definitely want it to be removable, and maybe already have that claw mark on her back.
Mhm. Or maybe, well, I don't think they could do. They did do something on the back, on the front. Well, no, they'd have to change the whole figure. They'd have to give her like a detachable arm. They'd have to change her arms. Or, but on the Jedi Luke, they had like 2 different chest plates. One where it's open.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know, it doesn't really matter to me. But Padme.
Yeah, I'd be happy to get one either way. So.
Yeah. I hope they do more than one of her. I hope they do an Episode 1 and an Episode 2 of her. And possibly even an Episode 1 or 2 of Ben Kenobi, too. So they could put those in the same wave.
Yeah.
They like to do little they say they like to complete the scene or whatever. So maybe they'll do like 3 figures all from the same movie all in one wave. Kind of like Darth Vader and Stormtrooper and what they're doing.
True.
Oh yeah.
We don't have an episode. Well, we don't have an Episode 1 or 2 Obi-Wan, I don't think, in the Black Series line. I think it's just the Episode 3 version.
Right. So far. Yep.
Yeah.
The centerpiece figures. Are you excited about those?
Currently not as excited.
$50.
Only in that, they look great, but I will say that photography, you can do amazing things with photography. I really like the Unleashed line, and that's what this really reminds me of. What that was a few years prior to the Black Series figures coming out, and you had the larger scale, pretty much just statues and action pose to the figures, no articulation. I really like that line, and that's what this reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think it's going to kind of depend on how much comes out at once, how much you need to buy. I'm pretty sure I'll be picking them up. But right now, the less excitement I'm feeling is more just because it's like, wow, that's a lot to buy right now,
Yeah, they should be out September 1st as well. They're $50
In fact,
a
I think
piece.
Kohl's had those on their site already, too.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And, but the good thing is the figures are removable, and you can use them as displays for your other 6-inch figures because they got little peg things on there. Hopefully they work better than the Legacy stand because that was terrible. It's like a lot of figures don't even fit on that thing, and that's a huge ripoff to me. $40, especially for that. That's crazy. I got my first one for that price, but or actually I got it for $30. I got it for 25% off on sale, and same with the second one, and because those. I had a feeling those are going to go on clearance. That's not something we decided to carry in our store. So the bigger things we normally don't. Normally just the smaller figures. But, they also have, speaking of small figures, the Black Series titanium figures. Those are already out on eBay. They got Rey, Captain Phasma, Kylo Ren, Poe Dameron. I mean, no, not Poe Dameron, Finn. And the same jacket. The Force Awakens versions of those figures. And, they're selling them for like $30-$40 a piece. Of course, they'll come down as soon as they hit stores. Have you ever bought any of those, the titanium figures?
I have not picked those up yet. They look nice, but I've kind of drawn my line on, like the titanium stuff when, quite a few years ago, we had I think a Boba Fett titanium figure. This is nothing new. We've had these released before, and kind of they look neat. Maybe I'll eventually pick them up.
The only ones I really like, I like Luke. I mean, no, I don't like Luke. I like Leia, Vader, and Obi-Wan. I almost bought the Leia the first time I saw it, because the first one I saw, she had a perfect face, perfect paint, except for she had a little drop of like brown that was supposed to be for her hair on her chin. And it didn't look like something I could wipe off. So actually there is a way to do that though, fingernail polish remover sometimes. But it would have probably it might have taken off more than just that one little drop. So I didn't pick that one up. And that was the most perfect one I've seen like ever. But that particular sculpt in her face is, for that scale, that's the best likeness I've seen of her. But it's almost as good. Not quite as good as a 6-inch, the re-release of Leia with the new head sculpt. That one's really good. But
yes.
That one really looks like Carrie Fisher. The first one actually doesn't look too bad to me, but a lot of people also don't know that the first red and black box version shipped for about 40 days before they changed it. So it was a running change, and there is red and black boxed versions of the new head sculpt. They're actually I'm not sure if I wouldn't say 50-50 on those, but there's a lot of them out there. Pretty much every case that shipped this year had that new head sculpt. So a lot of people don't seem to realize that though. All right. Okay, just like as promised, I did say that we would do a figure review in the last episode for this episode. So, in honor of the TVC coming back, the super articulated 3.75-inch figures, I thought we'd do the very first Black Series. What TVC became the Black Series when it was done, and the very first figure, number one, in that assortment was Padme from Attack of the Clones. I think they list her as Padme Amidala. I'm not sure why, because as a queen, she was Amidala, but I'm not sure if she kept that name because it was something that started with an N, Nabier or something like that, on the original figure. Do you know how to pronounce her original name?
I think it's just
Nabier.
About her Padme part?
Yeah. On the very first figure, her very first 1999 Padme figure, it says Padme Nabierre or something.
I forgot about that.
That's her real name. And but as a queen, just like when the Pope or whatever, whenever they come into their elected status or whatever, they changed their name to whatever.
That's right, yeah.
So she was Queen Amidala, but her real name was Padme. I forget how to say
Nabari.
Yeah, Nabari, something like that. Okay, so this figure came out in 2013. I think pretty much within a couple weeks, maybe a little bit before the 6-inch Black Series line came out. They just kind of made them the same title, the Black Series, and they're both super articulated. But this one's in the 3.75-inch scale, like the vintage collection that's coming back in spring of 2018. So, as far as Padme goes, we both have her out here right now. She comes with a Trade Federation droid, battle droid blaster. It's kind of like a gray tone. It's not quite black, but it's like a darkish gray. And her other accessory is her Naboo blaster that she had in episode 1 at the end when they're fighting against the Viceroys or whatever. And so I'll just start with you. And what's your general opinion over this Padme figure?
It's a very nice looking figure, and after a few years now of seeing just figures with 5 points of articulation, it's just looking at this in awe of how great of a figure it is to see so much, nice detail on it, nice paintwork, and I'm actually just sitting here playing with the joints, moving the elbows and shoulders and twisting the wrist because I'm like, this is so awesome.
Yeah, I really love this. This was actually my first, and I think the first ever super articulated 3.75-inch figure I ever had, period. And because when I first started collecting the 6-inch, while I was waiting for the 6-inch, I was like, oh wait, they make these in 3 3/4 too. And when I saw Padme, she was the first one, so I was like, oh, if I'm going to collect them, I'll start with number order. So I bought her loose from somebody in eBay in Hawaii. But yeah, when I first got her, I was like, well, so far, as far as the likeness, I don't know about yours, the paint, it's supposed to be pretty much the best version as far as her likeness goes.
Yeah, it's a very good likeness. The tone on the paint, at least for the face, like they probably just molded it in that color plastic. It's a little darker than the rest of her body, and the head oddly sits to the crooked. Like it looks like she's kind of leaning her head to the left or something, at least on my figure. But the painting on the eyes looks great. Good hair detailing with the bun and stuff. Great paint job overall, really.
Yeah, my figure, well, the majority of the figure is molded in white plastic. So there's very little paint actually on the figure, really. There's just her hair, eyebrows, her face, eyes and lips. And then you got on her arm the silver bracelet on each side. Mm-hmm. And the scratch marks on her back, which I was kind of surprised. Mine actually... nicely. Mine, you could see they're also molded in. They're not just painted, they're molded in. The actual cuts. And one of my cuts, the paint doesn't match up with the mold, but it doesn't really bother me too much. Other than that, I think it's got a perfect paint job. The only weird thing about it to me is her elbow joint on her right arm is white, but her they just like the Ray with the boots, the brown boots and the white ankle joints. Yeah, but as far as her articulation goes, I already counted it up. She has 22 points of articulation. And
that's a lot. Wow.
She's got a ball hinge neck, ball and swivel like shoulders, elbows. She has what do you call that? Swivel.
Swiveling at the wrist.
Yeah, swivel at the wrist. A ball jointed torso that you can twist all the way around. She has swivel hips and ball jointed hinged knees and ankles. And a workable holster. Her holster holds her blaster in it perfectly. Her Naboo blaster. And her gun fits the droid gun, at least I have it right now, in her left hand, because that's the way I saw it in the picture. And her right hand is sculpted with a trigger finger for her Naboo blaster. And
it's a great looking figure. The utility belt even looks like it's got separate molding and then maybe glued on. So it's got a little dimension there, so it looks like a separate piece on her.
Yep. And just out of curiosity, what's the date code on yours? On her right leg.
31291.
Wow. Yours is older than mine then. Mine's 31751. That's the 175th day of 2013. So it was made in basically June. Yours is a lot earlier. If it's a 120, or maybe. Anyway, so
I never knew what that meant.
Oh yeah, that's the first digit is the year, the last number of the year. The 3 digits in the middle is the actual day that the quality control stamped it. And then the last number, the 1, normally, is the production run. So if they retired this figure and then brought it back and started remolding it and all over again, that number might change to a 2, I guess. But for the most part, the 1 is pretty much always there. Hardly ever see anything that doesn't have a 1 on the end.
And it's interesting, mine's stamped into the leg. I'm sure yours is, but I've noticed, on the figures recently, they seem to be just printed black ink onto the figure, and not this actual stamp into the molding.
Right. Yep, that's the way they are now. The only
then Sorry, go ahead.
Well, the only thing I didn't like, the way that she's sculpted, the way that they have the swivel hips, it makes her look more aesthetically, she looks better that way. But, like the Jyn Erso from Rogue One, she has ball-jointed, hinged, and thigh swivel, just like the 6-inch Black Series, but her joints stick out, dramatically. So which would you prefer, that they keep going like the Jyn Erso, like the 6-inch Black Series joints in the hips, or do you think that they look better with these kind of hips? Because you can't ride.
I'm drawing a blank on Jyn Erso, but I certainly like the way this one looks.
Kind of like G.I. Joe. Like the.
Yeah, but I think this works because of her outfit.
Mm-hmm.
The cut of the shirt, the way it's torn or whatever, that joint, it just fits naturally in there.
They look more
So
feminine.
for me, it generally, because I think even the 6-inch Lando was at a weird spot. And in general, I don't like the way it looks if it interferes with the look of a shirt. If it's shoulder to waist, it's meant to be the same shirt or something. I don't like a line down the middle of that articulation. I'd rather have it at the hip. But with this particular figure, since they put that articulation right where the shirt comes to her abs and change of the skin tone, that works great for me too. So in this instance, I like this way.
Yeah, I actually like it. I think they look more accurate and they look better aesthetically with the swivel hips. But I don't know if they're going to carry forward if they're going to start doing the ball hinge and the swivel thighs like the Marvel Legends and the 6-inch Black Series. They're going to start doing that with the V, kind of like the V crotch.
Mm-hmm.
for the waist. But yeah, Jen Erso is the only female figure that's like that. She's the first. And supposedly they're going to start doing that with all the females. She's the only female that's ever been done that way. But as far as, I think they look better the other way, though. They just can't, like when she's riding on that thing in Attack of the Clones, that monster, when she gets free, you can't do that with this figure. But you might be able to do it Jen Erso's if she was articulated the same as Jen Erso.
Maybe. Yeah.
But overall...
the only other thing I was going to say, though, is these figures had an awful time staying on the packaging.
Oh, yeah. Bubble.
And, for, I think, the bulk of the line, and Hasbro tried to fix it, and in the end, like, toy stores ended up just Scotch taping all the figures, the bubbles to the plastic, or Scotch taping all the bubbles to the cardboard back because it just kept falling off the backing.
They called it Bubble Gate.
Yeah.
I have a Clone Trooper Sergeant that I got on eBay as part of a set, and it came off while he was packing it, and he said, well, you know what? You bought a mint on card figure, and since the bubble came off, I'll just throw in a couple of extra figures with it. They were episode 1 5POA figures, but so that one, he's stored away somewhere, but that is one heavily super articulated clone trooper. Because it was already opened, I took him out just to see, what he was like, and that was a lot of articulation. That's Black Series at its best right there. That's Hasbro at their best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the Padme altogether, I would say that she's probably, other than that, they didn't do that back then, but I mean, she's about close to perfect as far as these 3.75 figures go. So
yeah, like it's through that time frame, we were getting some great figures, and this is certainly one of them.
And I can't wait for them to come back. Hopefully they'll re-release Padme. I know they have a couple in the vintage collection, but they were like in dresses, like from episode 1, I believe. And
we got a few of her episode 2 outfits, as I recall, as well.
In the vintage collection?
Vintage, let's see. Maybe that was the original trilogy. I might be thinking of the wrong line.
Yeah, there's only 2 in the vintage collection. I did my homework on that. But I saw a guy who has a YouTube channel where he is pretty much obsessed with Padme, and he did a video of him unpacking, and he basically showed every Padme figure that ever came out on one video. And he's even got the 12-inch ones and everything, but I think, so for this figure,
they had a line of, once again, more of the girl-focused dolls for Padme.
Yeah, it was called the Queen Amidala collection.
Yeah.
And they had the Princess Leia collection. And have you, just out of curiosity, did you ever pick up the 30th anniversary 10 commemorative sets?
I don't believe I did. Those were a lot of.
There were what?
Were they a lot of repacked figures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I've slowed down on picking up things that are straight repacks.
Oh, okay.
Again, mainly just due to space.
I ordered one just recently, like a couple weeks ago, just because I didn't have any super articulated figures in that scale, and I found it for $22.99 plus shipping, and I'm like, okay, so 4 super articulated figures, all mint and packaged for $20-something. Sounds sounds like a pretty good deal compared to these prices nowadays.
Yeah.
So I picked that up right away. But actually, when I got it, though, there's two of the figures are actually from the Power of the Force 2 line, but they kind of updated them a little bit. And the other two are completely super articulated. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, the Biker Scout, the way they did him, it might actually be exclusive to that set. He has a flip-up helmet. I'm not sure if you have one like that.
I feel like one came with an AT-AT with a flip-up helmet, but I could be wrong.
He might have been a repack of an exclusive figure from another set. I think that's what Paul said, but maybe. But either that, he's just exclusive to that Return of the Jedi set. But the Princess Leia is actually from the Princess Leia collection from 1998, but she's painted better, more accurate, has different soft goods. And the Endor Rebel Trooper has now a removable helmet and a ball-jointed head instead of a swivel head, but he's the same as the Power of the Force 2 Rebel Trooper, Rebel Commando from Return of the Jedi. And then the Darth Vader is one of the best Darth Vaders that they did. He has the chain around his neck for his cape, but he has the swivel elbows instead of ball-jointed elbows. But he holds,
went trying to save money, thinking they were all repacks.
But they updated them all. They kind of, plus you get the 10 with it, and it was only, they retailed originally for $24.99, so it was a pretty good deal. But yeah, I haven't opened it yet, but I might be pretty soon because the box is kind of beat up in one corner. I'm a more mint on card collector, but I try to get two to open, at least one. But all right, well, there's our figure review of Padme. I guess I would give her, like, in today's scale, I mean, there might have been a way that she could have been a little more articulated in the legs, like to ride on that monster thing, but if there was, I would give her a 9 out of 10, but for the time that she came out, I'd say she's pretty much a perfect 10.
Yeah, same for me. I'm not as bugged that the legs don't open up. It seems that way for a lot of the figures, and if you do get a figure that's meant to open up for riding an animal, they don't always come across the best. So yeah, this is a win for me here too.
All right, well, there's our review of Padme, and maybe next time we'll do an extra review. But I gotta let Aaron go. He's on a schedule, so so for this episode, that's pretty much it, and we will see you probably next week. I'll probably be putting these out weekly. I'm going to have guest stars like Aaron and other people on to replace Paul for when he can't be around. And or we're going to do like a cycle thing, kind of, and hopefully, and we can do like every other week we'll have a different guest. And so look out for those podcasts. I'm going to post this probably on YouTube. I'll even, if Aaron wants to, he can put it on his channel as well. And so for now, is there anything else you want to say, or any contact information if people want to ask you questions? Or
if anyone wants to ask me questions, I am on Twitter, Aaron at Toy Shelf Review. I don't tweet much, but you can find me there. I post stuff on Instagram occasionally, also at Toy Shelf Review. Otherwise, on YouTube, Toy Shelf Review is channel name there. Okay, and I just recently, we made our own channel. The First Jedi Podcast is what it's called on YouTube. So just search YouTube, First Jedi Podcast, click on the corner where it says all, and click on channels, and it should bring it right up. And you can talk to us in the comments section if you want to request any special reviews or ask any questions,
or if you want to possibly be a guest even, you can contact me at Admiral Akbar 1983 at yahoo.com. And for now, I guess that's it for this episode, and we will see you next time. All right.
Take care, everyone.
All right, bye.